We're live. Resilience and Trauma Fitness, RTF, is back with Chris from Sad Team 6, among other many famous places. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well, Bodie. Thanks for having me.
Good to be with you, man. Good
Yeah,
to be with you
yeah,
today.
absolutely.
You know, it's amazing. Guys in the fire service, we find each other in all kinds of crazy places, and sometimes we have these connections that we never would have expected. And I am just so glad to call you a friend, a brother. Man, it's great to see you. And
It's
and I
very mutual. It's very mutual.
um so let's talk a little bit. We titled this rip, what is Sad Team 6, and then we'll
Right.
get to that. But let's start off a little bit about what do you want people to know about you first. Let's just kind of start at the basics.
Me, uh, I started my way into this field as a paramedic working for privates. Um, I landed a private ambulance job that was rural, so it ran uh, first response for the local volunteer fire department. Um, so even my private ambulance experience wasn't what a lot of people go through. Um, it had all the other challenges of private ambulance, but I worked my way from private ambulance to a volunteer part-time department as a firefighter, paramedic, and then found my way to the city of Canton, Ohio. Did 15 years there before uh, I was involuntarily separated for having PTSD. But still working through that process right now. That's still real fresh. Um, but I had a great career. Uh, I met some of the greatest people in my life. I had some of the biggest laughs, but some of the traumas, some of the calls, some of the lifestyle led me to uh, almost giving up. And on January 5th, 2024, uh, I loaded a boomstick and I took it for a ride, and I had no intention of coming home. Um, I drove, I started driving, and one of the interesting things was I couldn't decide where to go. And I didn't want to go to a favorite place. Uh, Fact is that when I left my house that night, uh, people went looking. They went looking for me. There was a call put out. Um, the department knew I was in trouble. The family and friends knew I was in trouble, and they were trying to get to me. Um, I didn't go anywhere that they thought I would, and that wasn't intentional by not trying to be found, but I didn't. I was so set on it being over that I was in uh, cleanup mode, trying to leave the least amount of mess. And so I was looking for a place that my family didn't drive by, that my friends didn't drive by. And I settled on the corner of a farm field on a backcountry road because that's what I felt I deserved. And I had a turn to go. I had one turn to go when law enforcement got me. Um, I did actually very instinctively just pull over. I've replayed that moment a lot. those moments. Obviously, in the first few days, I didn't have much else to think about. But even since I've been on this journey of healing and I've been feeling so much better and stronger and able to dig back into those stories, I spent a lot of time on those few minutes. And it still baffles me that I just pulled straight over. Um, but what happened next was I slid the boomstick from the passenger seat. Uh, I'm gonna keep wiping my eyes because bits of this still get me a little weepy.
That's okay, brother.
Yeah,
That's okay.
yeah, I'm allowed to cry.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, mom told me
Keep-
I could be anything I wanted, and today I'm gonna be squishy. Uh, but I was sitting in the front seat of my car. I had a Tahoe. Uh, I slid the boomstick ass end down and business end up, and the distortions, the thoughts that go through your head are so bananas now that I can see back on them. But I remember being upset that I was going to have to do that in the car now. I remember being annoyed at the fact that now I was going to ruin the car, that this would be another burden to my wife and children, is that now I was going to ruin the car. Not that I shouldn't cease this activity, that now I got to deviate because I can't get out of the car. There was a female officer screaming for me to get out of the car. Uh, I did not respond to it. I ignored her at I mean I heard her yelling, but I didn't hear commands. I just heard blah, 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 right? And I I took a really long look down the void of that barrel, man. Uh, and there were two moments that were really incredible that changed the course of my life, because I was resolved to call it. And I saw the headlights of another cruiser pull up, uh, and then another, um, which tracks. I was on an unlit, dark country road. They knew I was armed. Uh, well, yeah. So, and they knew I was in crisis. But one of the other officers that arrived, that fella knew and utilized de-escalation, and it saved my life.
Mm.
What I heard was this calm voice that said, "Hey, brother, there are a lot of people worried about you, and we just need to get you out of the car." And it cut through all the noise. It
Mm.
cut through all the crap happening in my nugget.
Mm.
And I was able to, in that moment of clarity, I looked around. I looked up for the first time in a minute or two. And when I looked up, there was this air freshener hanging on the rearview mirror. And it was silly. It was a gag gift. I had taken my wife's high school senior picture, in which she had the absolutely most exquisite bangs, my friend. The
Oh.
bangs,
Oh.
right? That was
Wow.
the style, right?
Okay.
And she had the killer bangs, and she posed with her cat. So it was a rather ridiculous photo. She tried to hide that photo for a great many years. I found the photo. I negotiated the photo away from her mother, and then I had it turned into air fresheners for her friends. And obviously, I kept one for myself. But her friends thought it was an incredible gift and very incredibly thoughtful. My wife, however, didn't love the joke. but she came to enjoy it. I'm a pain in the ass, Bodie.
What?
Yeah, mischief is my main calling, I think. But the uh,
You're a paramedic.
I know,
What's
you know,
surprising about that?
right? You know, and it's funny to explain that to people because people really do correlate the medicine side to that stern seriousness. I think it's, they relate it to the bedside manner of so many physicians we've had in our own experiences where they're just dry and boring and medical. And we are so not. We are so not.
Uh,
I mean, there's a few guys there are guys I know that have the brain of a surgeon that ride in the back of a squad. You know, they're very serious about their work, but
yep,
people
there are
like
those.
me make sure that they get the fun they need. Uh, but I have a good story about that. The I looked around, um, and the spotlight that one of the officers had shown through the back of the vehicle had broken into a beam, and it was illuminating just that photo hanging from the rearview mirror. And the combination of the reality of the mess I was going to leave and the calm demeanor of that officer saying, there's just a lot of people worried about you, allowed enough other faces to creep in my mind. It allowed just enough time for me to think about some people that I did not factor into my selfish decision. Um, it was a selfish decision ultimately, but at the same time, I was sick. And I understand now that I wasn't, I mean, as much as I can say I was trying and doing things on my own, I, the the cognitive distortions were driving the ship. I spent a lot of time thinking about what I needed to do, and I got myself all the way to what I am is a cancer to everyone around me. What I am is a never-ending burden. And
Yeah.
I looked at I looked at those options. I was like, well, I could walk away from this family and strike out on my own. They will succeed. And my distortions were all of the problems that were their personal problems.
Yeah.
I made my fault.
Mm.
Uh, any arguments or fights we were having as a married couple, married 20 plus years, uh, all of them, I found a way that they were because I was a piece of shit.
Mm.
And that's what I boiled myself down to. I stopped focusing on any accomplishments in my life. I stopped focusing on my relationships with friends, family, people I hadn't connected with in years. It just all went the wayside. I was a cancer. I was the bringer of doom. And removing myself in that manner only felt like I would be dragging it out. I'd be dragging out their pain and anguish. And but I saw myself as a cancer, and what do we do with that? We remove it. I triaged the situation, is what I did, and I black tagged myself. I was like, this one's a no win. This one's a no win situation. And I was so wrong. Uh, I just, I let the distortions tell me how to live my life. And I let them decide how I would sleep, how I would eat, how I would communicate, how I would live. And then when you're able to step back and see that, it makes a lot of sense that I was not at the wheel. I enjoy
Right.
working out. I enjoy going for walks. I love story time. I
Mm-hmm.
love sitting around with people and bending their ear. Uh,
Yeah.
give me give me 5 brand new people in 2 hours, and I am going to extract the best. I love meeting new people and stories, and making new stories. But the year leading up to my demise, my near demise, I was isolating. I did nothing with anyone. I avoided people like they were covered in the funk, and continued to see no fault with what I was doing. I just felt overwhelmed. And I got to a point where I would uh, wait, I would function as Chris while people were in the house. Uh, and then I would retreat to the dark alone. I wouldn't watch TV. I wouldn't doom scroll. I would sit and I would stare at the wall for hours thinking. And then there were times where I would turn the TV on when I knew it was getting closer to time that family would be coming home, just so I didn't get caught staring at the wall. I was creating a safe place to be unsafe. I was creating a fake presentation, and all the while, I was very quietly smoldering and burning on the inside.
Question: was this after that incident that you described?
No, that's what led to it.
Okay.
Yeah, this was the buildup.
Okay.
I was sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night for 2 to 3 years. Um, and I still never saw a problem that I needed to get that fixed. I just accepted I was one of the people that's a light sleeper because,
Because you're a paramedic.
yeah, we don't go looking for problems. Yep. But
Did you? Let me ask you something. When I don't mean to interrupt you, but
no, you're good.
when you eat, are you like most of the paramedics that I know that they eat fairly quickly? I mean, because you never know when your call is going to come in. It's like I've only got like 2 minutes to eat, so I'm gonna.
For a long time, I did. It's something I corrected through uh, baby steps. um,
Okay.
I started chewing it. That was a big step.
Yeah. Started chewing your food.
I
Yeah,
did.
that's good.
I stopped using my hands and started using utensils. That slowed me down. Uh, little things,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. Fair. Fair. But I.
I did though. I did. I did start taking time to enjoy my food, and
Yeah.
that's been nice. Yeah.
No, I sorry to take you off track.
No, you're good.
Keep going with your story. I just I want people to know that we there's a lot to unpack. Chris is gonna want Chris to tell his story however he wants, and we're gonna keep going through some things here and unpack also this organization that he's put together
Yeah.
and some of the resources and some of the things that they're actually doing and planning and stuff.
Yeah.
So we'll get there, but you keep going.
All right. Um, so things wound down on the scene when I accepted that I was wrong. It was a really gross feeling because there was another moment that the clarity brought that I was so broken. I had a very self-aware moment that I was very, very broken. And in that moment, it felt real easy to reapply the previous plan. And he spoke again and said, "Man, I just want to talk." I slid my hand down. I put the safety on. I put the boomstick on the passenger seat with the barrel on the floorboard like a good boy. And I got out. Um, they were polite, they were respectful. Uh, EMS came at that point. Um, they were incredibly respectful. Uh, they had me in the cuffs for about 5 minutes, which is, they needed to. No harm. They needed to be safe. I respect everything that happened, you know. I do. Uh, the fact that the female officer's commands were ineffective on me, that doesn't mean, you know, she's not an incredible officer. Honestly, because there she was alone. She was the first one. She was alone with a batshit crazy fireman with a loaded weapon on an unlit road. Girl, yell. I hear you. I just didn't give a shit. Um, and the reality was, the last thing I did before I left the house was have a fight with my wife. So I'm gonna be 100% real with you. I don't think I gave a shit to hear another female voice offer me advice or a command, nonetheless. I'm not a chauvinistic guy, but it changed with his tone. It changed with his demeanor. There's no question about it. I surrendered to it. That they put me in the back of the ambulance. We had a nice conversation with the young man that sat with me during transport. He and I have connected after. Very nice young man, doing a lot of great things for his department. And that led me to the ER for a very quick visit. I got to play a quick game of what's between your cheeks. Been a minute, right? Been a minute since I felt like that. And then they dropped the Mando hold on me. I was pink slipped, which coming from the career you can get, man. Like every time they said a word, I sunk lower into poo. I was just a puddle.
Yeah.
I had no structure to me, to my face. Everything hung from me like curtains. I was defeated, dude. I was absolutely defeated.
Yep. Yep.
And that bought me a few days in the psych ward, which was some of the most unpleasant days of my life. 0 stars. Do not recommend.
That wasn't what you needed.
It is what I needed. I'm not saying it didn't have its benefit.
Okay.
But one of the things that really drove me to start this organization and get vocal about the crap that happened to me, how I dealt with it, and how I know others deal with it, is that 6 days could have been prevented. And I could have gotten the help I needed without that experience. I'm telling you this from a point of the experience itself is something you have to overcome. Avoiding ending up in that kind of care is very beneficial to your recovery. It's there because we need it. We don't have enough of it. But it was absolutely an unpleasant experience. I was shitting on a toilet with no toilet seat. I was wearing a 9X t-shirt and 6X drawstring pants. Those things don't make you feel human. Um, you have zero rights. You have zero access to anything. We had to ask for the TV remote to change the channel because the day before I got there, somebody swallowed the batteries. So
Okay.
it was a thing. I in the first 2 days uh, I went from in the first 16 hours I went from okay, so let's figure this out. Let's hear what they have to say. And then that pretty quickly turned into okay, okay, that didn't work. So the minute I walk out of here, we're gonna we're gonna 2.0 that plan,
Hmm.
and uh, we're gonna just do it quietly and real quick like. I kind of had a I'll show you mentality crept in. And that had a lot to do with what I was feeling and dealing with by being in the psych ward. Um, it is where I needed to be. I was not safe to myself. It is, uh, but it didn't change how it made me feel.
Okay.
And the I started finding a little humor there. I found some human connection. Um, I started to find my glow. It was very dim, but um, I'm an active person. You know, I was just sitting there in this uh, hospital issued clothing, and I started walking the hallway. And then, just to be a tiny bit spiteful, I decided, you know, you had to wear grippy socks, no shoes. Um, so I decided, fuck them. They're gonna, it's gonna cost them a pair of grippy socks a day. So I started walking the hallway of the psych ward up and down. And one of the nurses came through and she was wearing like a watch that tracked her steps. So I asked her to take a lap with me so I could count it out. And then I knew I needed to go down and back 16 times to get to a half a mile. And then I figured out that I could wear down a pair of socks in 3.5 miles. So I cost him a few pair of socks.
Okay. Okay.
You got to keep your mind busy when you're in the loony bin. Um,
Okay. Okay.
but the most impactful day was the Saturday, the first full day that I was in the psych ward. You do not have a phone like you would like in a hospital room, right? It's for someone to call me, they had to call the hospital's automated system. Then they had to go through a few prompts to get to the desk where then the nurse would announce my name. And then I would have to, wherever I was uh, there, I'd have to make my way to one of the of the two phones that we had access to in a common area. I had 71 phone calls.
Okay. There you go.
And buddy, I thought I was alone.
Still,
No.
before that?
Yeah. I felt absolutely alone.
Okay.
71 people. 71 phone calls, because let me tell you, some of them phone calls had multiple voices. Um, it was 71 times they said my name out loud. Um, I could not get to all the calls as they came in. The nurses had to we're writing a name and a phone number on a post-it note. And um, I decorated my room with them. Uh, I had multicolored post-it notes with just a name and a phone number, and it gave me strength to endure a mental hardship that I was ill-equipped for. Um, Staring at a name and a number was enough to get me through another day, and I started to find light there. Uh, the phone calls were bananas. uh, some were just love, no judgment, no anything, just love. Some were pure anger, and rightfully.
Mm.
Um, some were pure anger. Uh, some were an incredible combination of the two. Uh, some of them opened real soft, gave me a lot of love, and then let me know what a nut job I was for not reaching out. Uh, and then it became clear, really, how many people I did have.
Mm.
Um,
Like how many people were really there,
yeah,
really like your friends? Because you
yeah,
have a lot of people that you know, a lot of people you
yeah.
work with, and then you would kind of like
These were
that.
not casual things. These were people, And again, it was a huge pain in the ass to get a hold of me. Huge. These people, I had people that waited on the line for 25 minutes. In today's society, come on, man, that's incredible. That's nothing short of incredible. 25 minutes?
Yeah,
If I walk into a restaurant and they tell me 25 minutes, I'm like, there's 4 more in walking distance. Have a night, bud. You know?
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but
yeah.
a lot of love, a lot of encouragement, a lot of support, and a lot of words I needed to hear. Uh,
Hmm.
but there was an ebb and a flow that week, that 6 days. There were hours where I wrote goodbye notes, um, thoughtful, well worded, exquisitely detailed goodbye notes. And um, then it, then there was a light bulb that
Because
I was doing it again.
let
And
me just interject this. You were writing those goodbye notes because you were about to implement phase 2 of the
yeah,
plan.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. All right.
yeah.
And then the light bulb.
Because at one point it felt like that those 71 phone calls, at one point they were the thing that got me through to the next day. And then at another point, they felt like an incredible opportunity that I got to say goodbye to a lot of people. And I got to let
Mm,
them speak their piece.
mm.
Um, I was negotiating it. It was, but that's how the distortions took over my mind. I was not thinking clearly.
And when you
That,
say when you say distortions, let me just kind of make a footnote here, and that
yeah,
is there's a term, and we're into terminology in the fire service. We want to have exact, application of the right terminology. And the terminology you're using, this distortion, is a term. The full term is cognitive distortion, and there are many different cognitive distortions. I think 15 that I've identified on the training that we got. But uh, go ahead and continue with the distortion.
um, yeah. Basically, it's a thought that you have that you've just conjured up, and it's not in any way based in reality.
Correct.
Uh,
Yeah. Thank you for defining it.
yep. And mine were incredibly powerful and believable. Um, I described it one time to someone else while I was doing one of these. It was a lot like I had a cult leader in my head, and it was my voice. It was my inner voice telling me to be just absolutely wrong, wrong. What I was, but the 6 days gave me purpose. It lit a fire in me um, that I wouldn't fully realize for a little while, but it did. The I was there for 6 days, and that led me to then the Center of Excellence, where I would spend about 2.5 months uh, getting that quality of treatment and love that we got there. But
And that's where we met.
that's right.
Was it January 2024?
Yep. Yep. I think I was there 13th. 14th was when I got there. 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got there on the 13th because the 14th almost destroyed me. I checked in, right? I went through that, played another little game of what's between the cheeks. And then yeah.
It's required entrance exam.
Yeah. Well, I passed. I don't know what she was looking at back there, but she giggled.
Exit only.
Yeah. I wrote a couple jokes about that scenario. I've never done them, but I've got them written.
Okay.
Yep. I felt so lost, but the compassion I was met with right out of the gate by that exchange that happens at that facility, that happened while we were there.
With the guys?
Yeah. That the way that somebody would come up to me and say, "You don't look happy." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not." And then they would just start busting jokes, right? It started to feel a little more Firehouse like, but the following day it was my son's birthday. And so that didn't sit well. I had a couple pretty decent breakdowns about that. But there I was, being cared for and loved on by men and women. I had no idea who they were. They knew what I was getting ready to get into because they had been there for a couple weeks, couple months, some of them. And it laid that groundwork to be compassionate to the next guys when you saw their faces, when you saw that new face, that new chin that could have been tucked into a belt line because it was hanging so low. And you just passed them and you're like, "Hey, I'm really glad you're here." That's all it took. And I did a ton of it. But that's who I was, you know. I always end up being mayor of Fun Town. I love it. I love mischief. I love being ornery.
Okay, but hold on a second. I want to speak to the point that you made before we go past that point, and that is before you were mayor of Funtown, you were welcomed to SAD camp.
Yeah.
right? And there were guys there that kind of took you in, sort of
Oh,
like
absolutely.
like
No, yeah. They
brought you
led
in close.
what they laid the groundwork for was what I continued. I just was more vocal about it, and I made it more of a shame on you kind of if you're not doing it. We were all there together to get through it together. I emphatically believe what they told us there, which is they give us the tools, we did the healing. Um,
Let
I
me ask.
had I had wow moments with the clinicians. I had wow moments when I did EMDR, but nothing punched through my nonsense like the time I spent talking to 1 to 5 individuals that poke a hole in your story, that point out a distortion that you're still overlooking. Because we love to bust balls. Oh, so it's a perfect recipe of humor, compassion, and still just enough of that toughness where call it like you see it. You know, when one dude doesn't do KP every shift, it's time to start making that guy do that shit on his own, right? That one guy that takes the trash out every shift and he's like, oh, okay, the dishes get started, and one donkey takes one bag of trash to the dumpster and comes back 25 minutes later. You know that guy, huh?
Right.
We had one guy that would vacuum 2 doormats the entire time we cleaned up. Cleanest doormats in the city. Just back and forth, man. That's six
Okay.
by eight rugs, dude. How long can it take you?
So there's some guys there. I also experienced some guys there who cared enough to tell you when your shit was stinking.
Exactly. Yeah, that's where I was headed with that. Yep.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, it's that we have the ability to call each other out, but in that way that's, hey, listen, you're being a turd. You know, stop being a turd.
yeah. It's time to get
Yeah,
rewind back to authentic.
right. Let's present a little less turd and go from there. Yeah, and that's what they did for me, and that's what I was able to do for some of them too.
Yeah.
And I just had that personality, and it became obvious that I had a gift to talking to other broken people, and um, I've enjoyed it. It's been heavy, it's been emotional, but they were the people, and all of that time at the fire, all of that time being cheeky, ornery, you know, the way that we are capable of being. Hell, whooping Joey Bag's ass at cornhole 3 times a day. I hope you see this, Joe. You still haven't caught a win. Ew.
So
Because we bust balls. But
so let me know.
yeah,
I if you want me to stand down, just beat me down right here. But I got more questions
yeah,
about.
fire him.
Okay. So some things that you did at the Center of Excellence that were aha moments for you personally, not the clinicians, but some of the things that you would do. Obviously, I mean, so what I'm hearing you say is that there were people there, the other firefighters, maybe like even the station environment where it's kind of like the firehouse. You didn't say that, but
Yeah.
um I remember that part. But like some of the other things. So there's going to be some people that are watching this, some clinicians, maybe some other guys and gals on the fire service that we want to like sort of like help them have a window into like, you know, like the guy who's like, I'm not messed up, I'm good.
Yeah.
Um, because we've got the smile, we've got it all going on, it's all pretty, look at me, my big muscles and stuff, I mean, right? uh you get a little perspective on some of that stuff when you've been through some of this work.
Yep.
What is, when you rewind back to let's just say that experience, or whatever, pick whatever experience you want, but when that experience, what were some of the moments where you were like, yeah, this is feeling so like I'm grounded, I'm feeling really solid, and this
All
is
right,
like
I
a
got you.
moment of,
I got one.
okay.
Uh, this is a really good. This one's relevant, even. So, uh, one of those moments that was very special for me was I finally found a moment where I was able to enjoy the moment, right? Uh, Recently, I've learned the phrase or the term uh, glimmer, okay? A
Okay.
glimmer is by definition in this instance a moment you recognize and appreciate amongst your day. So I started trying to find glimmers every day. It was encouraged by a friend, and it's been very impactful ever since. The harder you look for those things, right? The more you spend time looking for them, the less time you do counting bullshit in your head. So look for good shit. Uh, but that was the first one. This one was the first one. It was cold. I was walking to the cafeteria. A little bit of snow down, but the sun was out. And in the window of the gym, where all the meatheads, including myself, were in there at 5:30 in the morning to be a part of the meatball society there, and we would. But I walked past that window, and in the window was a man. And that man was very unconventionally expressing his joy for life. Is the only way I could put it. I saw a man bending freely, just swaying. And then I stopped. And I could tell that he was listening to music. And he was almost pressed up to that glass, soaking up the sun and just floating to whatever music he was listening to. I stood there in awe. And I mean, in awe of the freedom of expression he had to just stand in a window, absorb the warmth of the sun, and appreciate that moment. He didn't give a shit what anybody thought about what he was doing. He collected that sun, he collected that moment for himself, and it was vastly inspirational. The next day, I wrote a poem about it. I had written a little bit as a teen. It wasn't very masculine activity, so I got pushed off. But I've always been a creative writer,
Okay.
and so I wrote him a haiku. Uh, Somebody had recommended a haiku as a therapeutic writing tool,
Yeah.
and I wrote a poem for him. It was entitled "Solar Powered Human," and honestly, I've talked about it quite a bit since then. Um, it's I'm writing a book about my experience, and that poem is already in the book. It's already a done deal that's in the book.
You're writing a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
Nice.
just for the relevance of this example, I haven't talked to that guy. That guy and I were not tight in any way. But I found the courage at that moment to give him the poem. That was not something I normally would have ever done. But he inspired me so much. It felt like I needed to take that leap and share it with him. And he could have told me I was weird as piss and to piss off, go hide in a chair somewhere, bud. No thanks. But it was a run by poeming. I handed it to him and scurried it off like it said, will you go prom with me? Uh, but he found me a little bit later and he expressed what it meant to him in that moment. And I've thought about him a lot, a lot. Yesterday, I got an email from Dave. And Dave said, I stayed in contact with Bodie. Bodie and I talked about you. I still have your poem and it still hangs on my refrigerator. And I needed that inspiration this week.
It means a lot to him.
It means a lot to me. It was a really beautiful moment for me. And it's amazing because it has been one of my greatest glimmers in my recovery because it was the moment
That was the moment.
it was the moment I decided to appreciate things. And I can't emphasize the impact that moment has had on the lives that I've touched. Because it was the catalyst. It was the moment. And I'm grateful because it changed my life. It gave me the ability to say, yep, this sucks. What I'm doing right now sucks. But something cool is happening around me.
I stand by 1 second. I've got something. Somebody is dying to ask me a question. They cannot wait, and I have to send this thing to them. It's always something with my crew. So there, I got that taken care of. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that moment. That's exactly what I was asking for.
Yeah.
And the reason I was asking for that is because, and I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what you were going to say. But the reason I was asking for that is because for those of us who have not experienced anything like the COE, and it doesn't have to be the COE, it could be just something else that works for us, right? We got to find a solution. We got to find a way out. We're stuck in a pit. We're stuck in a rut. Wherever we are, we got to get out of there. And we need to know that we're not alone. We need to know that there is help. We need to know that there's like sunshine somewhere that we can find.
Yep.
But lifting ourselves out by ourselves is really hard. And it's really encouraging to hear examples from guys who've been in the pit, guys who've been in the work, in the trench for so long, for so they're numb, they're frozen, they're angry. It can be lots of different ways, right? But to know that there is hope of a moment like that. Okay? Your description of you painted a beautiful picture of it's a cold day, little snow on the ground, but the sun was coming through,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Sometimes we need to have, sometimes on a cold day in our heart, we need to have the sun coming through.
It's fair.
Yeah. And, so and thank you for sharing that. That was
Yeah.
a beautiful picture of like a great moment, um, a pivotal moment for you, I guess, in
Very
your
pivotal.
recovery. And
Very pivotal.
you spent you spent a quite a bit of time there, and I spent 40 days there. 40, I counted them 40 days.
It's a lot of days.
Uh, uh, stand by one more second, real quick here. Um, you just can't make this stuff up. But uh,
Life's gonna life, bud.
yeah, there we go. Okay, that's done. And I am not listening to any more messages. Um, so so that was a pivotal moment. There was really great connection there. And by the way, I I I have kept in touch with him. He has called me, and we have some great conversations,
Great.
and I hope he watches this, and I hope this has been inspiring for him too. Um, the connection part, the connection part is really important. Um, and I know there's some guys there. There's some guys just in general in life who, you know, you have a connection, and for however long a period of that is, and then that person goes their way and you go your way, and it's like you never see each other again. It was just like that was that moment in time, that window happened, and then it's over, it's done.
Right.
I used to have this thought that I would keep in touch with people, like if we became friends and we became good friends, that they would be my lifelong friends. Not so much. Doesn't happen that way, right?
No,
Not everybody's like that.
it takes effort.
It does take effort.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, so moving on to kind of like the next phase and stuff. Like you ended up meeting some guys. You kept in touch with some guys.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit how you want to finish out that part of the.
So I got tight with a great group of guys there. Um, you know, I was friendly with most everybody. There's always going to be personalities that aren't your cup of tea. Um, but I put my best foot forward with as many people as I could. But I had a group, I had a clique of buds, and quite a few of those are still in my life now. Stumpy is Stump is by far my number one advocate and resource when my demons are having their way. He's he's the Chris Whisperer. Um, but a group of us just started calling ourselves Sad Team Six because we started calling the Center of Excellence Sad Camp. And when We called it Sad Camp. The administrators encouraged us not to because it didn't fit the narrative. So
So we did it more.
being the person I am, I'm like, cool, let's get shirts made. Uh, how about a logo, guys? You guys want a fucking logo? Let's be Sad Team 6, huh? And then Paul uh, had poker chips made, and they were really cool. And I'm old school when it comes to coins and chips. I want it buried in a handshake. Um, but I got that poker chip buried in a handshake from Paul. I still have it. Every time I go speak, I have it in my pocket. It is with me. It's all of you guys. It's Mark. It's Miss Vonnie. You know, when when I am speaking on this topic and I need that strength and encouragement, it's just a little token, right? That goes with me every time I do these engagements. For a while, I carried it everywhere I went, and then I got a little protective of it, and I was like, I don't really need it at the family reunion. But uh, it took life from there, and then we did. Uh, there was lack of entertainment, and I am by nature a entertainer, so I navigated the rules of the facility, and we had a talent show. And I did some comedy. They loved it. I had a great time doing it with them. I had a great time encouraging others to step out of their shell and stand in front of others and just make an ass to yourself and have fun and be silly.
I remember that talent show.
Yeah, the laughter heals. And then, I I have a gallows humor at the ready, and I did some of those jokes, and they landed incredibly well with our people, and they found healing in them. I heard over and over and over again how my jokes about my stuff, because all my stuff was self-deprecating about what I was going through. You know, uh, when the first psychiatrist sat down with me in the psych ward, uh, the first thing, the first question he wanted to get out of the way was why I did it, why I wanted to end it. And at that time, I had my creative brain for a minute, and I immediately responded, it was getting pretty dark inside my head, so I thought I'd put in a skylight. Yeah. He didn't think it was funny at all. He didn't have that kind of sense of humor, but
he couldn't see the light in that joke.
But I'm going to tell you who got that joke was a bunch of other busted firemen fighting some demons. And people that have experienced trauma and are living with trauma and PTSD and depression and are battling their addictions. Because laughing at the evil, laughing at the pain takes away its power. It's unarguable. It is a fact. And so it didn't take much for me to combine the need. I had a desire when I left there to do comedy about this. Then I knew immediately it would be Sad Team 6. I knew it had to be Sad Team 6. It was too cool of a name. We were the elites of the broken, right? That's how we stuck to it. Like SEAL Team 6. It's a straight ripoff of their badassery. We were just the busted up fire department version. And I got home, and
guys who've been through some stuff.
Yeah, I got home. I knocked out. I learned how to goof around on Canva. I made a logo, and then I sat on it. And then in May of that year, after I had returned home, I'd been released from the facility. I was back to work in May. So 5 months after I tried, we had a brother successfully. No, I don't want to say it that way.
Yeah.
We had a brother that lost his battle with PTSD.
Okay.
And uh, man, that hit me in the guts hard. It it was a huge setback for me. Um, it was a time where Stump came to my rescue and got me back on the right track. And then by December, uh, Sad Team 6 was formed and registered. And the following uh, April, we had our first comedy show and we broke a ticket record for a 150-year-old theater. So it
That's
happened
right.
very fast, from some conversations and some cheeky shenanigans at a mental health facility in January to a nonprofit that's using comedy to reduce the stigmas and increase awareness about the mental health struggles within first responders, and sharing my message because it's okay to talk about it. And the more we get our brothers and sisters talking about it, talking about their sleep, talking about that one that hangs on them, talking about how they don't leave it at the door. It's real easy to say leave it at the door. Real easy. But you're taking it home. It's affecting your families. It's affecting your relationships. You're just choosing not to look at it because you can tough it out. You can grit it out. You can handle anything. You've proven it your whole career. But it'll destroy you. If you don't check it, it will destroy you. If you don't lay some stuff down so you can pick up some more shit, you can't help anybody.
Yep.
That's where I got to.
Okay. Well, I did not know this, but apparently September is Suicide Prevention Month.
Yep.
And I have there's a wife of a guy that I used to work with, and he lost his battle with PTSD, and so did his son, and they were both on the department that I used to work on. And I've never really been able to, I've never got to the point where I can talk about any of that.
Well, there's always time.
There is, I think maybe one of the things that's going on with me is that it's like out of respect to her, I almost don't feel like I can talk about that, in a public forum. But it affected me, and I lived, a long ways on the eastern half of I lived in Virginia when that went down, and I didn't get to grieve. I didn't get to go with all those guys who went to their funeral. I didn't get to do any of that, and I because I was dealing with my own stuff, right? And and in a sense, I moved my family after I retired from the fire department. I moved my family, and I'll tell you the story one day. Maybe we could do it online on here, but I'll tell you that I'll tell the story someday about the things that kind of like led to my retirement, how did you say your retirement was? What did you call that?
I was involuntarily separated.
Well, I don't know if mine was involuntarily separated. Mine was
That's different.
involuntarily retired
There you go.
uh, for medical reason, and I've always struggled. I think I
Yeah.
always had a struggle with that, um, because you don't tell a fireman they can't do something.
Right.
It's like, what? So anyway, so we're in the moment. I'm going to segue back into reality here where we are right now, and this is so we have Sad Team 6 now,
Yep.
right? It's an organization. Let's talk a little bit about like where that is right now with regard to 501c3 status. Can you bring us up to speed in a couple minutes about where that
Yeah.
is and where we need to go with that?
So where we're at right now is all the paperwork and everything was done through the state. Everything was put in the hands of the IRS in January to receive the full, uh, where we would be a tax deductible donation. We're set up to receive donations, but without the IRS approving that and getting it back to us, I can't touch any real big money. I've had pledges from local businesses, from incredible people around the country that have just heard me speak or talk. And
Yeah,
it is so incredibly frustrating because there's nothing I can do about it.
yeah. Your hands are tied.
I reached out to a local politician and tried to make something happen through that. I've got nothing yet. But
Okay.
yeah, it it was filed and in early January, but there was a little bit of a government slowdown there at the first of the year. There was the changing of the guard. Some things got silly, and we are caught in the crossfire of that.
So does it seem like there's been kind of a delay at the IRS processing this 501c3 status application because of some of the stuff that maybe have happened with Doge or something like that?
Yeah, maybe. It's
Okay.
definitely possible.
So if we have anybody that's in the audience that has a connection with somebody in the IRS and they want to try to help us get SAD Team 6's application through approved, you went through all the steps to get that
Yeah.
properly done.
Yeah, we're just waiting on our go get them, boys.
And the goal of SAD Team 6 is the mission, I should say. The mission is, tell us.
Our mission is to use humor to reduce the stigmas and raise awareness of the mental health struggles facing our first responders. What we want to do more than anything is prevent suicide.
Okay.
And
you keep talking.
Conversations that it's okay to talk about it. And what opens those doors for conversation is humor. That's what works amongst firefighters and law enforcement, is the fact that we can joke about stuff. It's that you roll up to a car scene.
Chris, I'm not sure that I can. Did we lose connection here? I think we may have lost the connection, but all right. So I've got some stuff. I'm going to actually show something here on his. I'm going to share the screen so you guys can see this. He's going to be back in a second. His phone died, I think. So I'm going to share a screen right here on SAD Team 6, and we're going to look at what they do. And this is sadteam6.com. And so what they do here is they do comedy shows. And if you go to sadteam6.com, you can go and this is one of the comedians that he brings onto some of his shows. That I believe that's Matt King. Uh, he's the funniest guy I've seen with Chris. These two guys are hilarious, but um, they are putting together some events right now. They say there's currently no events on the website, but I know that they are putting together some events, and there's one that I um, uh, okay. He looks like he's we're actually probably gonna end up doing a follow-up to this and in a little bit, but anyway, I want to show you the this website. So you can go here and you can see some interesting stuff about Chris and his work. So they do several different kinds of things. Refer people to some of the resources that we have, like the IFF Center of Excellence. They're doing comedy shows. They've done some. They're going to be doing more. I'm going to have him finish talking about that. But the team, I think the team is here. Let's go over here to some mental health resources. So one of the things that we have here in Ohio is this Save a Warrior Foundation. Okay, these guys are doing good work too. One of the guys we went to is actually at this facility this weekend, and so Chris and I are going to meet with him. But there is the IFF Recovery Center, and that is this one right here. And this is this. If this looks familiar, or if it doesn't, this facility is owned by a company that has partnered with the IFF to do recovery work for substance abuse and mental health. Okay, they have, I believe, 64 beds in the facility, and they have some outstanding clinicians and some great therapies. They have a big gym. They have some great stuff there that is really it's good. I mean, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like if you do the work, that you've been given to do there, then you'll get a lot out of it. Um, if you're, I was there and I saw some people come in and then kind of like do a U-turn and leave after, a couple hours or, 24 hours, or they just could not, for whatever reason, continue doing the work. So anyway, I'm going to kind of like just briefly mention that it's they have a fire station sort of like feel to some of the dorms that they have. They have dorms that have sort of like a day room, and in that fire station sort of like setup, they have like the day room is sort of ends up being like a classroom. So your clinicians come in and they kind of teach classes, and it feels like a firehouse. And there's the camaraderie and stuff. And I've been told, and my experience also is that the camaraderie is like it's kind of like you thought it would be on the fire department, but it really wasn't. When you get there and you're going through a lot of stuff and you're bonding with people that you are, they're like on your crew, but they're more than like on your crew. Sometimes they can end up being sort of like family member. That is where, I mean, that's true camaraderie. And it's probably the more camaraderie like that than anything I've experienced in terms of fire service. So that I would highly recommend that if anybody has any questions about that, you can reach out to us over here at RTF, and on the podcast, leave some comments or something in the notes, make some comments on I think we're actually streaming to Facebook also. And let's see, where else are we streaming to? Um, yeah, we have an account on X as well. But so I'm going to segue from that and kind of go and see if he's going to actually be able to pop back on. He's yeah, I got to get him set up with a studio situation because I think if you're just going off your phone and all that, it's yeah, that's not going to work too good. But um, we're in this about an hour and 20 minutes. But again, uh, Chris, Sad Team 6 is going to be doing some shows coming up. They were at FDIC. They're going to be at FDIC again. I may be joining him on a couple road trips for some of these things like this at some of these conferences because I think it's good to kind of support the effort for mental health and first responders, and especially with kind of the times that we're living in now, probably need more mental health support and peer support than ever. And I think if nothing else, because like when I got in the fire service, I was kind of, it's kind of like you just stuff it and you just get through it. And you're a pansy and pussy and all these other things if you're not able to just kind of just gut it out. But that's I mean, we've seen a lot of guys struggle with that and have not great outcomes. I've had some of my own, but I mean, I think isolating and sort of like compartmentalizing myself or other people, kind of like so that I'm not being affected by some of that can happen as well. And so I think that's a good thing to kind of maybe talk about where it's appropriate. And yeah, I can actually say that there's probably a significant number of people and in the whole of my department and the where I was, I probably compartmentalized that and just put that outside of my reach for out of self-preservation. And so and then all of that was probably confirmed, that the reasons that I would do that because of the very few people that ever reached out to me after that. So so kind of self-confirmations of some things. Having said all that, probably said too much about all those things, but everybody's on their own growth curve, and I do think that I have some thoughts about some of the things that Chris was saying, and I didn't. I wanted him to be able to explain his story, and with minimal interruptions from me, and so I'm looking forward to that to get him back on so we can kind of finish some of the things, the conversation about Sad Team 6. So we're going to see that again. I'm actually going to have another guest next week, another guy who's off the East Coast. This guy is out of Newport News, and he's a chaplain. And so he's going to bring some interesting perspective, and he and I have some things in common, a few things in common other than the fire service. But that's going to be next week, and we're going to see some more content on resilience and trauma fitness. And that's the goal of the channel, is to try to bring resilience to some of the things that you deal with in your life. And if you got it all down and you're doing great, and you're smiling and everything's good on the inside, wonderful, man. Good for you. And but if you got something that's going on inside that ain't so good, and you might want to do some work on that, you can come here. We're gonna be talking about that stuff. You can feel free to watch it. Take what you want, leave the rest. Tell me I'm an asshole. Tell me I'm whatever you want to tell me. Call me whatever you want. That's fine. And we're gonna just keep moving through it. One thing I will mention, I don't know if you've noticed, but my background, I had a background here, and I kind of changed it. So this side is kind of like all put together and it's all like solid. And this side is sort of like, free formed, and it's sort of like, it some people may like, oh, it's not finished, it needs to be finished. Yeah, you may see it that way. However, that's why it's like that, is because it's not everything is perfect, including you and including me. So anyway, I'm gonna probably wrap here, but I'm gonna do it. We're gonna see if we can get back on with Chris real soon. And hold on just a second here. We've got a comment. Got a comment from Chris. Stump is checking us out, man, and he says he's here. There he is, right there. Chris, man, good to see you. We had our brother Chris Snyder on with Sad Team 6, and he's having some technical difficulty. I'm not sure if we can have him back in this podcast, but probably going to need to do it again here soon. But again, the conversation about the mental health, the conversation about, Chris's description of what his journey was like getting through some of those things, what it's like actually inside, when you're kind of in the kind of, I call it kind of like the meat grinder of like the process of where you have to go through if you're struggling with mental health and going through the, the psych ward and stuff. And then, knowing that you have a support of people, and then moving out of that and then into, transitioning back into your regular life. And then, realizing it's a long recovery. It's a long recovery. And how do we kind of continue to just put one step in front of the other? And it's really helpful to have some connection points and to have some people that we can talk to as we go, right? Not just talk to, but to know they have your back, to know that you're not going to be, alienated and just embarrassed and made fun of and whatnot. They've got your back, right? That's this kind of support I'm talking about. And Chris, yeah, 100%, it's a marathon and not a sprint. And when we prepare for a marathon, we prepare for something that's going to be kind of like the rest of our life. What do we have to do? I mean, we got to pack a bag. We got to be ready. We got to have food and water. We got to know that it's going to take everything we got to get to the end. So we can leave this life with natural causes, Lord willing. But we've done everything we can for the people that love us, and for the people and for the people who depend on us, our family members. And one thing that we haven't talked about on this rip is the family. Okay, so there's like this concentric circle, like we're right here in the center of our circle, right? And then we have really close people around us, and then those really close people around us is our family as well, right? And most of the time, people want us to do well. The people who want us to do well the most, because they're invested. I mean, they're critically invested in our well-being. Hopefully, we can, do well and help them as best we can, protect them as best we can, because that's kind of our role if we're like dads or something. But the family is affected by all this stuff. Our family, our spouse, our thing. I can't tell you how many people that I met when I was at the Center of Excellence while I was there. How many of those guys had news of, yeah, I got the papers. I got papers yesterday. Like, I'm like, what papers? Yeah, I got divorced. She served me divorce papers because she knew where I was and she knew I couldn't do anything. And this was a safe place for her to send those divorce papers, because I'm back here in Maryland and they can't do anything to me. And I'm sitting here listening to this and I'm like, oh man, we just throw each other away like that. Wow. Wow. And so those bonds that we made at the center are like, I mean, I've been through a lot of stuff, but I thought that I mean, I'm almost at a loss for words. How we just we cancel people, we kind of in our mind we just like murder people or kill them off. I mean, they don't exist anymore. We just like get rid of people in our heads and in our minds and in our hearts. Like, oh, it's just it's devastating. It's devastating to us. It's devastating to other people, and it's just like, this is not the way. This is not the way it's supposed to be. And I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and I cannot treat someone that way. I cannot. It's against everything that I believe. And I struggle with that, right? Because it's not my place to do that. It's not my place to cut someone off. And I'm not making this a venue for my faith and my beliefs and stuff. But I do think that there's something to be said for having strong faith as a support. It's as a support. I'm not saying, not talking down about anything else. I am saying that it's really good to have support. And just some of those things that we would go through. I mean, we need those supports. We need each other. We need to talk to each other. We need to just be authentic as best we can. And I know that that's not something that's very common, but maybe we need to make it more common. Maybe we need to just kind of peel off the layers and just be like, yeah, unvarnished, just real, and when we find, on duty or outside of work, friends, family, sometimes that's the best thing we can do, because it does a couple things by being just real and authentic with somebody. It does a couple things. It's like a way for us to be real. It's a way for us to be just like, I'm really jacked up right now, and that's true if it is, but it also kind of sets the example and sort of models the behavior for other people to be like, yeah, I'm pretty fucked up too. Here's what's going on for me. I've seen that in a secular environment where it's just like two guys, we're getting together, we're talking about just like what's going on for us. I've seen it in that format. I've seen it in a faith filled format, and brothers in Christ that are talking with each other about like what's going on for you. I'm like, yeah, what's going on for you? It's like, oh man, and then maybe there's prayer and stuff too over these things. So you're not alone, right? You're not alone. You have that connection point, and it's so important. It's so important. There's people suffering right now. Right now. If you're not suffering, maybe you will be. Or maybe you just came out of a time where you were suffering. But there are people that are right in the middle of it right now. And maybe you know some of those guys. There's hope. Okay, there's hope. That's the message here. There's hope. There's connection. There's a way. There's tools. We were given tools at COE, and I'm not here pumping the COE. Okay, it's the IFF, which I did not have a great and totally great experience with my whole career. I did have some I did have some good connections, and I did have some good experience with that organization, but I also paid them a lot of money to do what they did for me. But I will say, them partnering with that company to do the IFF Center of Excellence in Maryland was a very good thing from my experience. So I appreciate Jack for showing me about the IFF COE, and I appreciate the guys who've been supportive. If you don't know about it, or you have sort of a neutral opinion about it, I would say you might want to check that and just go ahead and just check it out. Like maybe go experience it, because you won't know. You don't have the experience if you've never been. And I also understand that they are not going to be building the one on the West Coast now that I thought they were. I think I put that out there a while back, that they were building one on the West Coast for the guys on the West Coast. And I don't think they're doing that now, because they ran into a little problem with some sort of animal or something on the property where they were that's endangered or something. That's a great reason to stop something like that. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, but then maybe they are making it up, and that's the reason why. Chris is right over the target again here with this. I mean, one of the best things that we ever did was go to the COE, because we didn't know what we didn't know, and that was, we didn't know each other. And the COE was sort of like the rallying point for us. It's kind of like the mustering place for us to kind of get our act together, but also to kind of meet each other. And I will say that that I know that time, what was it, like right after, for me, it was right after Christmas of 2023 and into the first part of February of 2024. That time frame was really a great time to kind of bond with the other guys and to be there and go through that work together during that time, because the weather was so stinking cold outside. You had to sort of be in with each other, and kind of get to know other people a little bit. And then while it was freezing cold outside, we had like these fires at the fire pit outside, and guys would go outside and hang out at the fire pit, and just enjoy a campfire. It was yeah. I mean, I think we could talk about that for a long time. Chris Forsland would come along, and I'm sure he would have some stories for us too. But the humor is something we can't forget. And the masks that we carry as well. That's something that we can't forget either, because we all have masks that we wear too. And so, I don't know. I mean, here I am. I've been milking this for a while here, but I do think that that Chris is going to need to accomplish his get through his technical difficulties, so we can get this show on the road again here soon. But maybe it's not going to happen this time. So we don't have any sponsors on this channel. And we don't have any way to make money on this channel, which I firmly believe that we don't need to do that. That's not the intention of it. But if you did receive any value, if you do have anything that you would like to share with anybody else, please do. You can like or subscribe if you want. Maybe make some comments in the comment section. I see Chris is doing that. Thank you for doing that, Chris. And like share with your with somebody who you might think could be valuable. And also check out sadteam6.com and check out Chris's organization. I think it's going to be really something. If you need somebody to do some public speaking, he's a great public speaker, and I know that we were going to have him again we're going to do it. We're going to do this more often. This is the kind of thing where I've been saying we're going to do this, and we finally got the first one under our belt. So anyway, that is my story. I'm sticking to it. I hope you like the raggedy edge on the background. I hope you like the fact that we're in this for the mission of helping other guys who are maybe stuck, who need a connection point, and we're gonna pump this out there. We're gonna keep doing this. You're gonna keep seeing my freaking ugly mug, and we're just gonna pump this as far as we can out to the ends of the earth, because I believe that it's a message that needs to be carried. And if you agree, then please work with us and help us try to get to reach more people. And I'm looking forward to seeing Chris. I'm looking forward to seeing Stump. And I think we're gonna see you, Stump, in Connecticut. So if you're there at the festival that I think we're gonna be at, that's just gonna be wild. And I can't wait for that. I can't do everything, but I think I can make that one. Anyway, it's great to see you all, and you have a great rest of your day. Bodie from Resilience and Trauma Fitness signing off.